everybody? It is the Gaming Bounty Board podcast, and today I'm joined by Storm once again. How's it going, man? What you been up to? What you been playing?
I'm doing really good. Thanks again for having me. Thanks for having me on again for the second time. And I mean, been doing good. Been playing some Persona 3 recently.
Okay.
Very great game.
Persona 3. What is it? The what's it called? The new one?
Persona 3 Reload. Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
remake of the I think the 2006 version.
Okay. Cool. I never played much Persona.
It's a great JRPG series. I highly recommend it.
Okay. I'll check it out eventually.
I think it's
So,
also on Game Pass as well. If you
oh, is it? Okay. Yeah, I
yeah,
got Game Pass. I'll have to. Might just go. I might download it and try it out then, since it's on there.
yes.
So today we are kind of focusing on Alan Wake 2. Just kind of a spoiler discussion, of the game. Should be interesting.
Yeah, there's a
what
lot
did
of
you
stuff to
what did
talk
you
about.
Yeah, oh yeah, for sure. What did you think about the just the overall narrative of the game?
So overall, I think the story of Alan Wake 2 is, I mean, thematically speaking, I don't think it's like the deepest narrative in terms of like themes and stuff, but like how the story is presented.
Yeah, yeah.
It's arguably one of the better paced like narratives and stories that's been written ever. I think it's really, the pacing is great. The way it deals with two narratives at the same time
Yeah.
and two different characters, and how they just like connect depending on your own playthrough. It's really wild how the writers managed to put that together.
Yeah, I agree. It kind of reminded me of this is one character, but the game The Medium, the way that like you're playing two perspectives at the same time. Obviously, Alan Wake 2 is two perspectives at the same time, but you play them separately. But it kind of reminded me of that way, except for like Alan Wake 2 did it well.
Yeah, I haven't played the medium. I just know I know it's by Bloober Team, and
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm pretty mixed on Bloober Team with from what I've heard.
Yeah, a lot of people don't like Bloober Team, but I played their Blair Witch game, and it was pretty good. And I played a little bit of Layers
I
of
don't,
Fear many years ago, and it was pretty good.
Maybe I'll have to try them out before their
Yeah.
next game.
Yeah, I mean, if we want to briefly mention Silent Hill 2, I saw a little bit of that from the recent PlayStation showcase, and I don't know, man. It looks weird. Like it looks it's weird that you would have. It's obvious that they would want to go for a more over the shoulder perspective, but it's weird that you have examples like the Resident Evil 2 remake of doing something like that perfectly, but then you would choose to do it so weirdly. And then also the combat looks like we're playing like a very low budget like Unreal tech demo thing that someone threw together to clickbait on Twitter. Like I don't it looked rough.
Yeah, exactly. I also think with Silent Hill 2, I don't know, the atmosphere doesn't really feel there. It looks a lot more brighter,
Yeah.
colorful. I don't know. It's more, doesn't feel like a horror game, and the enemies as
Yeah.
well. I mean, the design wise, they look good, but
Yeah.
it's just the lighting. I think there's something with the lighting.
That's always the biggest issue with when games get remade or remastered even is lighting. I don't know what it is. It's always that. It's always an issue. That everybody thinks, "Ooh, make the game look better. All we got to do is make it brighter." Like that's not always the case. Like you don't just make it brighter and that's just instantly a better game. I think what was it
Yeah,
I was
it's not
playing playing a remaster of something. Oh, because I was a huge Halo fan most of my life and I kind of fell out of it for a while. I beat Halo 2 Anniversary for the first time. I've had it for like 10 years or something that's been out, and I haven't played it. And I finally beat it. One of my favorite games of all time, like far as shooters go. And while I love the cinematics, I love pretty much everything about it, the number one thing that I dislike about the remaster is that it's so damn bright all the time. Like,
wow.
why? Why is it so damn bright? Like, it's just It's like you would, and you could press the button and instantly go back and like look at the old game versus the new game. You look at the old game, you're like, damn, there's like a whole level where you fight the flood, and it's pretty eerie. There's like smoke, it's like very whatever. But like in the remastered version, it's brighter. The lighting's brighter. The walls are brighter. The fog is very dim, and it just doesn't feel the same. So like in some levels, like outside levels and more bombastic action levels, it looks great. But the more like dark interior levels and corridors where it's supposed to have a little bit more of a eerie vibe, it just takes that all away. And it seems like a similar thing that they're doing with Silent Hill 2, remaking it. Whereas you take
Yeah,
something like Resident Evil 2 or even Resident Evil 4, and they just take everything that it did good and like improve it tenfold.
exactly. And also, like, speaking of brightness, when it's not just something you can just change in the settings because it's a lot more deep than that. It has to match
Yeah.
the art direction and art style and everything. It's the RE remakes. They did a great job with that, just
Oh
maintaining
yeah,
that
for sure.
core feel.
And it kind of comes down to like the debate of like some games just don't need to be remade, but it's always obviously a fan base that would say such a thing, and that's fine. It's like I have feelings on both sides, right? Like I think some games need to be remade, some games don't need to be remade. Some games are great with their flaws. Like, Silent Hill 2 is a pretty infuriatingly old school, not the best controlling game. A lot of people, like, if they haven't played it since they played it, like, as a kid or as an adult, when it came out and they played it now for the first time in that long a period of time, they probably wouldn't play it all the way through. Like, I guarantee my dad's a huge Silent Hill fan. I guarantee you, if he booted up one of those, like Silent Hill 2 right now, he would probably not play all of it.
It'd be a completely different experience.
Yeah, and it's just it controls like, I mean it looks, controls, and feels bad in comparison to modern day standards. So in that sense, for a wider audience and for new people as well as old people returning who don't want to play that old experience like completely accurately, it's good to have remakes. But also, I think another like fix for that, so that you have both sides, is that more old games should be remastered and ported to modern consoles and brought to
Yeah,
like Steam and stuff and modern software to where they run and function without fan patches. And so that's one thing fixed, which would probably not require that much resources, that much money, or that much manpower to do something like that.
yeah, exactly. Because just remaking games isn't preservation in the purest
Yeah.
sense because it's a different vision and a different
Yeah.
team behind it.
Yeah, and most
It's
remakes are
yeah,
also like reimaginings, right? So it's not like one for one. Now some are, but a lot of them are not.
yeah.
You take something
Lots of
like
Nintendo remakes.
yeah, you take something like Destroy Humans remake 1 and 2. It's pretty damn faithful. There's a few little like, things that are changed here and there for like quality of life, but for the most part it's faithful. But that's different than like, you remake Resident Evil 2. Resident Evil 2 original and Resident Evil 2 remake are quite different
Yeah,
experiences.
it's
Both are
completely different
great, but
game.
different. But it's hard to get your hands on Resident Evil 2 original. Because PlayStation doesn't make anything backwards compatible. For whatever reason, they decide that they don't want to do backwards compatibility like Xbox does, and I will never understand
Yeah,
that. And then you can't get the old games on PC, um, and then except for like the remake or the remastered version of the remake of the first game, I think. And then you would have to resort to pirating and stuff like that to get a lot of these old games on PC or something. And as far as consoles, I mean, you can buy it off the PS3 store,
eBay or
if
something.
the store is even still going, um, or the
Oh yeah,
PS
true.
Vita store, which the Vita store is still going, it's just not a lot still
I
there.
think they might be shutting down soon.
Yeah, I think so.
If I read
They're
it
actually
somewhere.
finally shutting down the Xbox 360 store.
Oh really?
Yeah. At least
Oh
so
so
they're shutting down the Xbox 360 servers on the 360, but technically the 360 servers in the store will still kind of exist on the Xbox Series X/1 because all the games that are like Xbox 360 that are backwards compatible are on the store for the Xbox Series X and stuff. So those are still going to be available. That doesn't mean everything's going to be available, right?
Yeah.
Which that comes down to the whole thing of like you need to buy physical games if you want to still play a lot of these things because you're not going to be able to play them without like pirating them on console or on PC or something.
No, yeah, that's
It's a
true.
whole issue um, to be able to play old games, and that's just like a whole thing, you know. And there's abandonware and all that. But back to the topic at hand. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think Alan Wake 2 took a lot of the best elements of something like the Resident Evil 2 remake and added their own Alan Wake twist to that and did a really damn good job. I saw some people complain about that there wasn't enough combat in the game and like it was more of a walking simulator, and I saw people complain that like the gunplay wasn't that good or something, and I just
Those are
have to
some
disagree.
pretty. Yeah, no, I disagree with that because I think as like a this is more of a survival horror title compared to the Resident Evil 4 remake, which was a lot more action focused, and
Yeah,
this one here makes the most out of the survival horror by spacing out the encounters, giving you very few resources,
I
and
think
leading you to like make the most out of the small stuff you have on hand.
yeah, and I mean I think that's something that like the Resident Evil 2 remake does really really well. That's like that old school survival horror philosophy. You know, you're wanting to um, preserve your ammo. You're wanting to go slow and methodical. You know, go for the headshots, make every shot count because you don't want to run out of ammo.
Exactly.
And usually, if you play survival horror games like the way that they're meant to be played, it's rare that you actually have a problem with ammo. It's
Yeah, unless
usually
you
when you play it like it's a like it's a run and gun shooter that you like end up where you're like, what do I do?
or like Uncharted or something.
Yeah, yeah. I was talking with SSJ Davey on one of my episodes recently. We finally got to talk, and we were talking a lot about survival horror games and stuff like that. And he had just recently started playing Alan Wake 2, and he had beat Alan Wake 1 for the first time. And he was saying how like he enjoyed a lot about Alan Wake, but he didn't really think the story was that great, and he didn't he thought that like the combat and stuff was too easy because like you have so many resources and so many so much ammo and so on that you never really are like wanting. And I was like, well, that's true if you play it like a survival horror game. Technically,
Yeah,
Alan Wake
exactly.
is a action thriller game. It's not even really a horror game. Like you're technically supposed to play it fast and loose, not methodical. But you can really play it either way. And if you do play it like more methodical and reserved and you take your time and you find all the secrets, man, you're going to be strapped with so much ammo, so many weapons, and so much stuff that you're never going to have a challenge. And when I played through it again before I started up Alan Wake 2, that's what my experience was like. But when I played and beat Alan Wake the first time, there was a lot of secrets that I didn't find. Um, I played it a little bit more fast and loose. And I remember, like I was telling him, there was a part where you go through the woods and there's like bear traps everywhere, and there's like the one train car and all that stuff. And there's like a ton of enemies in that level. And I died like over and over at that level. And I literally had to just like sprint through that entire level to get to the
Yeah.
end because I didn't have any ammo. But my second time when I beat it right before Alan Wake 2, I went through that thing and killed every single enemy, and I probably got to the level in just like a few minutes.
And yeah, because they're like like from a just direction point of standpoint, they're two, like you said, they're completely two different games.
Yeah, yeah,
One is a lot more. I mean, the first Alan Wake didn't have the best combat. I feel it's.
yeah.
I'm not really sure how to describe it. It's just not as good as Alan Wake 2. Just a
No,
bit too
no, no,
much
definitely
maybe.
not as good as Alan Wake 2. And I think we mentioned it a little bit before, but Alan Wake 2 has the perfect enemies. I think it has some of the best enemies in a survival horror game ever.
Yeah,
Just the way the
especially
shadows are
those
designed
shadows.
and stuff. Yeah, the
Yeah,
shadows are like perfect. I mean, the fact they can just grab you and choke slam you out of nowhere, they just pop up like you don't know which ones are real and which ones are not. There's some telltale signs, but there's even There's even shadows that are not technically enemies that can still grab you and do damage. Then they just dissipate.
Yeah, disappear.
Yeah.
It's crazy. But
So
I will say though,
yeah.
one thing that I feel like was a bit missing from Alan Wake 2 was the random objects as enemies in Alan Wake 1.
Oh, you missed the random objects. You missed the
Yeah, yeah. I missed
Stephen
fighting against the
King
box.
like animated objects. Yeah,
Yeah, no,
it was definitely an interesting thing that they didn't do that. Like,
or the birds. I don't think there were any yeah, there weren't any bird enemies like in the second game, and I feel like that was a bit but I really liked that fight in the first one.
yeah, the all the crows and stuff. The
Yeah,
first game, yeah, definitely, yeah, they didn't have that either. But I think I think that's because they just went for this like really hardcore survival horror thing, you know.
yeah. They toned down the enemies and just focused on making them as
I mean, you
unique
can
and different as possible.
easily die with just like 2 enemies in Alan Wake 2 if you're not careful.
Yeah,
Um, and they went for the Resident Evil style, like save rooms and stuff like that. Lot more backtracking. It's very much this kind of Metroidvania kind of thing, which I really liked.
yeah. I really liked how the New York Plaza was a very like a kind of central hub that opened up
Yeah.
more and more as you went back. It's like a
Oh yeah.
Resident Evil 8
Yeah,
in a
just
way.
like like Resident Evil 8, where there's like you get a new shortcut and you get this new little thing. Yeah, a lot like that. And then even like Cauldron Lake and Watery and um uh Bright Falls, when you're
Yeah,
playing
yeah.
a saga, like all three of those you can go back and forth between as much as you want before you like progress the story. And there's so many like explorable locations. Like the game is massive. Like you don't really think about it, but the game is actually massive.
It really is. Yeah.
For especially for a survival horror game, which then goes into the fact that like most survival horror games, if you do absolutely 100% of everything in the game, most survival horror games peak at like 11 or 12 hours max.
Yeah.
And like most regular playthroughs without doing everything is like 5 hours. I mean, even Alan Wake 1 is only like 10 hours or something
You know, or
max.
faster if you just rush through it a bit.
Yeah. Yeah. It's definitely faster if you rush through it. And then uh like Alan Wake 2, I can't what did I clocked in nearly 30 hours my first playthrough, I think. Something like that.
Did you get the platinum for it or
No, I didn't get everything.
ah?
Man, I was
Because
seeing some people out there saying like they got the platinum, it took them like 50 hours or 40 hours or something.
wow, that's kind of wild.
I mean,
Like I got the platinum in 25.
oh really?
Yeah, it's a
I
very fun
got
platinum. I recommend it.
I got a lot of stuff. I mean, I don't know what my percentage is, but I did a lot. There was definitely some stuff I didn't do, but there was a lot. I hit a point where I was like, "Ooh, the story is so good, though. I'll just come back and do this other stuff later."
You never came
um,
back.
no, never came back. Uh, I'll go back eventually. I got to beat it again to do the
I
final
mean, they also
draft,
had
so I haven't played final draft.
the new game plus.
Yeah,
Neither have I. I've heard some stuff about it, but I haven't had the chance to play it.
yeah. No, apparently it modifies the ending, and there's a few little tidbits here and there. That's interesting.
Yeah,
'Cause it's not a loop;
one day
it's
we
a
got to get back
spiral.
to it. Exactly.
It's I'm curious what they're gonna do with like DLC expansions or something. I think that's gonna be interesting.
Like I think for the expansions, it'll probably just be like more in-depth stuff for some characters. I think like maybe Mr. Door or something like that. But
Hey, look, they
I
better
don't think it will.
explore Tim Breaker and Mr. Door more.
Yeah,
They better.
but I don't think it will. I don't think the expansions will like cover up the whole narrative. I think it'll probably be in like Alan Wake 3 or something like that, or Control
Yeah,
2 maybe.
I don't think Sam Lake's ever gonna make a game where like it wraps up at the end. I don't think that's ever gonna happen. I don't think we're ever gonna have like a true ending to Alan Wake. Even if we get an Alan Wake 3, I don't think there's gonna be a true ending. I don't think that's ever gonna happen.
Yeah,
Ever. Like I
probably.
think it's always gonna end with like a cliffhanger. I think and that's honestly, in my opinion, I think that's a good thing. I think it's a good thing for it to never wrap up because that's a mystery that's never solved is way more powerful than one that is.
Exactly.
I mean,
Or
It's like the Twin Peaks, something that inspired Alan Wake quite a bit. I mean, they had 3 seasons. It never wrapped up, and then it took them nearly 20 years to come out with a third or no, it was 2 seasons, and the third season came out like 20 years later. And I think they wrapped it up in that. I haven't watched that third season yet.
Maybe it's better to leave it unwatched.
Yeah, it might be. I think they wrap it up in that, which is just I don't know why you would do that.
Maybe at most we might get an Alan Wake 3, but I don't know.
I think we're going to be left with even more mysteries once they make a sequel to Control, which I feel is inevitable.
Yeah, no, the Control 2 is already announced, and I think they're in pre-production or something like that.
Yep, working on Control 2, and then they're also still working on the Max Payne 1 and 2 remakes.
Oh, those are going to be very, very, very fun.
But you did see the thing where the head of or like Take-Two Interactive, the people who own Rockstar, were trying to sue Remedy for their R logo.
Yeah, that has to be one of the worst like legal.
Yeah, I don't know if it's been like it's probably going to be wrapped up behind the scenes, but I feel like Take-Two, are you guys just not like, are you guys not aware that like your company Rockstar is like in partnership with these guys right now to make remakes of really popular games? Like, why are you guys doing something so stupid?
Yeah, I think I read somewhere that some spokesperson at Remedy said that the case was already wrapped up. I think.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, I thought it would have took long. It was about an R. It's
yeah.
stupid.
I mean, Rockstar doesn't own the letter R.
No, and it doesn't even look like their letter R. You know what I mean? It doesn't even look the same.
I mean, it clearly says Remedy. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's not even the same damn thing. Though I do, to be fair, I like Remedy's old logo better, but you know.
Yeah, no, I forgot how it looks. Wait, I need to search it up now. Wait.
What was that?
Was it the one with the circle? Was it one with the circle in it, or?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, with like the swoopy kind of R.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, I see it. Yeah. That was also a very solid logo.
Yeah, I like that one better. But Alan Wake 2 ends with a lot of obviously unanswered questions. There's a lot of implications about Mr. Door that are dropped on you at the end and then never talked about again.
Yeah.
Even though like you're playing a saga and like the last mission of hers and you find a newspaper talking about Door and you're like, "Oh, I'll leave this for later. I'll deal with that later." And oh man. Okay, how did you feel when you go into that level as Alan and Mr. Door confronts you and he's like, blah blah blah, you got someone twisted up in your tail that's important to me, and like you don't fix it, the next time we meet won't be so nice or something, something to that degree.
Yeah, no, I really like when I finally got to that scene. I feel like it was a very nice progression, seeing like at the start, like how Mr. Door was very like, how would you say it, like on good terms with Alan, and then as the more meetings you had with him, then you see like the more Alan brings Saga into the story, the more frustrated he gets with Alan.
Mm-hmm.
It was that was probably one of the best scenes, like as a, not just because of like how strong a tonal shift, but also when you see how Alan's writing really affects the people around him.
Oh yeah. And I was thinking the whole time, I was like, Mr. Door is important to somebody. I was like, I didn't know for fact who it was yet. But I was like, he's important to somebody. But when the Anderson brothers, when you first meet them in the watery trailer park, and they kind of briefly mention your dad, because you don't know him, and he was gone since you were a kid.
Yeah.
They briefly mention him. They're like, he just vanished, and then they were pissed about it.
Saga's got some kind of superpower.
Yeah, and Saga does have a superpower because she's a Norse god.
Or like some power related to someone. Yeah.
Yeah. She's a Norse god, so was her mother, Freya.
It's all aligning.
Thor,
It's already
aka Thor, and Odin.
yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of mythology. And of course, Ati, who's a Finnish god of the sea.
Oh really? I didn't.
Yeah. Like if you look up the name Ati in Finnish mythology, he's a god of the sea. He's also the one who guards the spiral door, gives you access. He makes a lot of water metaphors when you talk to him in Alan Wake 2, especially when you
Uh,
talk to him for the very last time as Alan. He talks about the seas and they're ever
and when he gives you
changing, and
the
yeah, he lets you go into the spiral door at the
but
very end.
man, I didn't know that link to the mythology. Now it just makes everything a lot more clearer now. That's
Yeah.
incredible.
He makes a pretty big like water based speech.
Wow. I mean,
Yeah,
it links to the spiral as well, like a
yeah,
water spiral.
yeah. Uh, he's always I've been fascinated with his character since Control. Like he's
It's a very
quite the
interesting
enigma.
character because he's not really like connected to the plot. He's just like a catalyst of sorts in a way. Like
Yeah,
he's
yeah.
by the side, yet his impact is heard throughout both games.
Yeah. His impact in both Control's events and Alan Wake 2's events are pretty um impactful and like important, but he's just a side character, right? He's someone who's there. He's like an assist.
Exactly.
He's like an assistant. He's there to help out, but he's not really as important. I mean, he is important. He's just not as important. I mean,
I mean,
the
I
main thing
think
going on necessarily.
maybe as a janitor, he's like his job is to clean up the mess that the characters make.
Yeah, maybe. He has a pretty direct connection with the board for sure in
Yeah,
Control, but he kind of falls outside of their jurisdiction to some degree. And who the board is, we don't know yet. They're obviously an entity of great power, but everything that they've ever said to anybody who worked in the oldest house about Ati is to just leave him alone, let him do his thing. Don't worry about what he does or doesn't do.
exactly.
Ati's also powerful and important and has his place. But it also just like goes to like the fact that there's in this Remedy verse, there's so many entities, right? Got like people like the board, Ati, Tord Odin, Saga, and Freya, even Alan himself, Mr. Scratch, um,
The
the
Bureau of
Dark,
Control, which is separate from the board as
yeah,
well.
yeah, and then the oldest house itself, darkness, um, things that reside within the dark place, and also like the founder, yeah, founder entity that you encounter and control.
Oh yeah,
You
wait, I
fight
think
him like 3 different times.
yeah.
I think the third one you fight him in the refrigerator.
That was a crazy fight.
Yeah, and he's another entity that is giving you like the opposite directions as the board. And in the foundation or in the foundation DLC, you come in contact with him with that entity again, and he's giving you these abilities to modify the oldest house
Right, yeah.
to destroy and grow things in it, and the board's very against that, and he in that entity is trying to give you that power. So obviously, maybe that entity was part of the board, maybe he's the enemy to the board. Who knows? Maybe the board's the bad guys. Maybe the other guy's the bad guy. I don't know.
And the question is as to how much of the board's actions are actually influenced by Wake's writing, or if it's already
Yeah,
existed before that.
yeah, yeah. I don't know if those entities would be affected by Wake's writing because the oldest houses existed before time and space. It seems.
And this universe is it's really hard to understand and grasp because there are like so many like
Yeah,
threads that link together, but at the same time they're not like actually linked together. It's
yeah.
just
And Thomas Zane's writing and Alan's writing can't affect things that existed before them or that already existed. They have to modify something that already exists.
Yeah.
They can't
And
bring
they have to
anything
make,
into existence per se.
and they're bound by like these very strict rules that they have
Yeah,
to adhere to.
by using these objects of power, which the board collects,
Plot
which is very
thickens.
interesting. And then you got like Tim Breaker, who is 100% um, guy from Quantum Break,
Yeah.
and in Quantum Break, have you played Quantum Break?
No, I haven't played it. Really
Oh,
want to though. I need to.
you
I
spoil
I, I
something, or do you want me to not spoil?
uh I mean I think I know a bit about it, like how he can like shift like his like phasing through time and space in a way. That's as far as much as I know about it.
Yeah, there's just like a brief reference at the end with the character of
Not the Lance Reddick's character or
yeah,
something,
it's
or
Lance Reddick's character. I forget his name.
all right, right.
But it's his character who, I mean, you encounter throughout the game, but not a lot. And he kind of like references a thing like that about him being a jumper, time jumper. Mr. Door's
Which is
character is definitely Lance Reddick's character. I mean,
yeah, no,
it's kind of
for sure.
uncanny how well, like how much Lance Reddick and the guy who played Mr. Door look alike. Anyway,
Yeah, and even I'd even go as far to say the voice acting as well. He sounds really
yeah,
he
it's
really nails that Lance Reddick feel.
yeah, it's very similar. Um, so there's obviously that, and like Door can control his jumping. But like Tim Breaker can't control his because he's developing the abilities based on what happened in Quantum Break. And he can't
Right.
control it, so he just randomly jumps around outside of his control.
Which we see in Alan Wake 2, how he just suddenly
Yeah.
ends up in the dark place.
Then you run across him on multiple occasions as Alan, and then eventually Saga when you enter the dark place.
A thought just crossed my mind right now, like which is might be interesting to think about. But Lance Reddick is maybe the only character in the game that does not have an actual in-game model. He's only seen through live action pieces. That could like reference something. I mean, how he's like in a different place altogether. Maybe.
True, true. Yeah, maybe. Because even when you do the little profiling thing with him, it's still his live action version.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I mean, maybe so. He can kind of jump around and be anywhere. Be interesting to see where that goes because he was definitely a little pissed with Alan.
A little might be cutting it a bit short, maybe.
Yeah, because he was always so kind of positive, whatever, being his weird self that he is, just kind
Charismatic,
of
yeah.
messing with Alan and stuff, and then it kind of seems like it's going that direction again, and then it doesn't, and then he walks up to you, and you're like, oh shit, what's about to happen? Then they
Yeah,
just
and then
drop this giant bomb on you, and then they just say, okay, we're not touching that ever again. And then they go forward.
yeah.
And you're like, okay.
Great, thanks. Couldn't be any more helpful.
Yeah, like, all right. Thanks for this giant lore bomb, and then now we're gonna go in a whole nother direction, so don't worry about it.
And the thing is, like with that moment there, it's again that tonal shift is very. You can predict it happening, but at the same time, it just happens like so sudden that it
Oh
really
yeah,
sits with you that moment.
100%. Yeah. Um, there's so many players at play in Alan Wake's in the Remedyverse, right? There's just so much going on. Alan Wake 2 somehow found a way to like jump around so much and hit so many plot points and so many characters and so many connections and just intertwining elements while still not being too confusing and being perfectly paced and keeping like each moment being better and more exciting and more interesting than the last. Don't know how they did it, but they did it really well.
Yeah, I mean, also a bit similar to Mr. Door. I really liked how they used Alice's character throughout the narrative.
Yeah. Weaving that in. Oh man, the way that her character, but the way that whole thing ends is
Yeah,
not what I expected at
it,
all.
it was really again sudden, but very you could predict it, but it's just it
Yeah,
hits really
it
hard.
hits, and it hits pretty hard. I mean, especially when you think about the fact that Alan's whole thing was trying to save her in the first game and in the second game, pretty much. Like that was his goal, and he lost her twice because of his own
Exactly.
actions. Twice.
So then it actually brings up the question: what are his actual intentions if he's managed to fail 2 times? Is it actually
Yeah.
does he want something else, or is he just really bad at achieving his goal?
I don't know. I think it's just because he's too much of an everyman. He just sucks. you know, he was pushed into this whole scenario outside of, I mean, somewhat like, outside of his means because Thomas Zane wrote in the clicker that affected his life,
Right? Yeah.
which kind of inevitably led him to Bright Falls through Dr. What's his name? Hartman.
Right. Yeah. That therapist type guy or
Yeah.
something.
Yeah. Which you kill and control.
Oh, right, in the DLC.
Yeah.
Yes.
You fight
Yes.
Hartman at the end is that weird monstrosity. In
Yeah.
the little Bright Falls uh giant 3D replica thing.
But then also, this might be completely wrong, but does Bright Falls actually exist, or is it just like a huge like constructed experiment?
That's an interesting question, isn't it? I would like to think that it exists, but I mean, with all the Cthulhu, beyond space and time travel, time jumping shenanigans of this multi-dimensional fuckery, who
Yeah.
fucking knows? Like it could all be fake, it could all be real, it could be a mixture of the two. Because guess what? We didn't even mention the Ocean View Motel. That's a
All right.
whole nother
Yeah.
thing. Because the
That's
Ocean View
that's a
Motel
big
is not
loophole.
only in Alan Wake 2, but it's in Control. The first time it's in Control. It looks
Yeah.
different in both games, but similar. And I think the one to really focus on, because, Alan Wake 2 focuses on the spiral because that's the one that is connected with Alan's story. But in Control, there's a bunch of doors.
It's like a loop, more of a loop than a spiral in a way.
Yeah. In Control, there's a lot of doors, though. There's a door that you don't access until the DLC for Alan Wake, or for the Alan Wake DLC in Control, which is the spiral door that you open, then you
Yeah.
see Alan and Scratch come face to face. And then there's another door that you open. I think it's the one with like the triangles. It's kind of like the Illuminati looking thing
Yeah, the one
that
that gives you the light switch room, right? Most often, I
yeah,
think.
yeah. That's the Illuminati like one is the one that's like connected to the board in the oldest house. But there's like another 4 doors or something.
There's so many
Which
doors, but no
which
Mr. Door.
yeah. Yeah,
Oh wait, no, but Mr. Door actually is referenced in Control.
he is. He also says in Alan Wake 2, he says in his thing that he opens doors all throughout time and blah blah.
So then, is maybe the Ocean View Motel like a physical manifestation of time itself? Maybe.
Possible. I always viewed the Ocean View Motel as the place. It's the purgatory between space and time, right? Like it's the middle ground. Everyone has to go to the Ocean View Motel to travel through time
That's a very interesting point.
because
Sounds very
I mean I
plausible
think
too.
even maybe the Ocean View Motel is somehow directly connected to Door, and it's all of his different doors that he uses to travel through space and time. And maybe when
Yeah.
Alan goes to the Ocean View Motel, maybe that somehow completely changed the whole timeline, and there's another one because he went through its door. You know?
And because also in the Control it's a motel, and I think in Alan Wake 2 it's a hotel, right?
Yeah. It's a motel in Control where it's a lot smaller, more condensed, whereas it's like a upscaled hotel, like giant hotel in Alan Wake 2. Yeah.
Like I guess maybe you could like maybe if we go to like on your thoughts, like the motel is more smaller and controlled. It's easier to pass from time to time with, but when a hotel when Alan goes there, just opens up and becomes a lot more uncontrollable.
Yeah.
as even
I
the
think it's I
dark
think
place
it's
itself comes after him there.
yeah, I think that Ocean View Motel slash hotel is kind of like the red room, the red draped room with the checkered floors and stuff in Twin Peaks that Agent Cooper sees in his dreams. I don't know if you've watched Twin Peaks or not, but if you're a fan of Alan Wake, you need to.
Yeah, I need to. I really need to. I haven't found any like proper streaming place to watch it
It's on
or the
Paramount
time
Plus. Yeah, it's on
on
Paramount Plus.
Paramount.
Yeah.
I need to get that too to watch the new Knuckles
They
show when that drops.
yeah, they have all three on Paramount now. All three seasons. I've watched all the way to almost the end of season 2, and then I'm gonna watch season 3, and then they have a movie as well that's connected. It's like a prequel to first season, something. Yeah, they have a movie.
Oh man,
I haven't
doesn't
watched
look
the
like
movie.
there's Paramount Plus in my region.
Damn. Use a thingy.
VPN, yeah.
Yeah. Um. Yeah, and so like it's just crazy, weird, and different things like that, right? Like it's all over the place. And you look at the oldest house, something that's literally not affected by time at all. It's the same as it always has been. The only thing that
Yeah,
changes is the outside because nobody can see it or access it who isn't meant to.
right, yeah.
Because
Interesting.
Jesse was like destined to see it and find it because it wasn't even there when she first appeared, and then she like looked and then it was there.
So then all the workers at the oldest house, how did they get to their jobs?
I don't know. Another thing, who knows? There's obviously always had to be someone there to connect it. Maybe the board just chooses someone at random to be the leader, to be the um, director, who's
It's
obviously a
it's
pretty important role.
and it's strange to think or interesting to think like what's the role of the Federal Bureau of Control? Like how big of a role do they play in the world, or how much damage are they causing, or how much do they actually know? When
Yeah, I mean they definitely seem to know a lot, but also not know a lot. Because like they are always showing up at these altered world events that are things that happen like the events of Alan Wake because of altered world items. Um, or items of
yeah,
power and like the typewriter and these different things that have these otherworldly entities intertwined with them. Because like the refrigerator and the founder, it's funny that his name is the founder in the
interesting.
oldest house, so maybe he's more important than we think. But
Maybe he'll come back
it's
in the DLC.
he was stuck in that refrigerator. And it's because like these entities can take over these objects. So it's like the darkness was stuck within either Cauldron Lake or the typewriter.
Right, and but then if the I mean because if they these altered world like these entities, right, they stick to objects usually, but
Yeah.
if it's actually stuck to Cauldron Lake, the place itself, that's a very big, like not even an object, it's a like physical place that's hasn't been manufactured or anything, just
Yeah.
I don't know.
But now Cauldron Lake is the portal to the dark place. Because I
So
think
does it
when Thomas Zane used the typewriter, he let the darkness out, and then the darkness somehow took over, created a portal to the dark place, another dimension in time and space that is now entered through the lake itself. Because when Saga gets thrown in by Scratch, she goes straight to the dark place.
so I think it opens up the question of whether or not Cauldron Lake is actually like just a place, or if it actually is created specifically to act as a portal between the two worlds.
It might be. Who knows? That's the cool thing about that. That's why I love mysteries in games like this, man. It's just they allow you to think and theorize, and you can come up with anything, and it may or may not be right. And I like that.
Yeah.
I also think that those other doors can go to the dimensions of games like Max Payne and Quantum Break as well, and the Ocean Boom Motel and slash Hotel.
Right. But are they in different
And
dimensions, or are they more just different places in time on the same timeline? Or
um yeah, no, I mean, yeah, there's so many so many theories and things to think about. It's kind of crazy. There's a lot to just take in, and I mean, honestly, before I even play Final Draft, I'm still gonna have to give myself like several months to just digest it all. Like my brain's still processing it in the back. It's like like on your phone, you got stuff that's working in the background. That's like Alan Wake 2, just the whole game in the back of my head right now.
constantly using battery.
Yeah, yeah. I'm just like, I'm over here trying to achieve other things, and then it's like, man, Alan Wake 2, like what the fuck was that? Like, you know, that's a good thing though. It sticks in your mind.
It goes to show how good of a narrative they really managed to create, because
Yeah.
based just purely on how the mystery and the questions that it leads you to think about and what may or may not be the right thing.
Yeah, for a game that spirals around so much and that loops around so much and that is so all over the place, it somehow makes enough sense to like be structured, but it isn't structured at all.
Yeah, right. No, yeah, exactly.
It's hard for me to wrap my head around like how they did it, like how they were able to make it like seemingly make sense while being the most confusing thing you've ever experienced in your life.
Like I'm imagining like the storyboard might be like, imagine like three like trees, and the branches just like all twist and turn into one
Yeah.
another, and just keeps going.
Yeah. I saw a thing that Sam Lake posted on Twitter. Was it today or yesterday?
Or recent one.
Yeah, let's see if I can find it real quick. Um, I can- yeah, I saw it and it's pretty interesting. Um, how much stuff he shares.
Lots of reposts. I can see in that.
Yeah. Um, damn. Okay, I can't seem to find it. But he posted a picture of the spiral. Ah, there it is.
With the two triangles.
No, no, no. It's of a spiral. When was this? Oh wow, that was actually a while back, I think. Anyway, but it was like saying it was like the spiral, but then it had an arrow pointing towards like let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, like the fifth loop of the spiral, and it said "You are here."
Oh wow,
Yeah.
it's
Um.
pretty. It's pretty specific, but unspecific at the same time.
Yeah. Yeah. So who knows? Interesting, but he's got something going on, man. He's like up there with Hideo Kojima as like these just crazy
Directors.
interesting artists
Yeah,
and directors and just personalities within games.
we need more people like them in the industry.
Oh yeah, we definitely need more people like them. There's a few people that come pretty close, but like they're so unique and they're just so willing to go outside of their normal wheelhouse or outside of what everyone else expects from games or media and just pushing that boundary.
Yeah, and like I feel like Kojima more like he's more like the cinematic guy, like how he presents the stories and makes them more movie like. While I feel like Sam Lake and the Remedy people, their writing is just what takes them to the like a completely different stratosphere.
Oh yeah, 100%. Um, is there any other things you'd like to touch on Alan Wake 2?
There, I don't know. There's so many stuff like I think
There's a lot.
about the music sections. I really love those.
Oh yeah, yeah. Because in it's like been a thing in each of their games. Like recently, that really stand out is those musical sections,
Yeah,
like the Anderson Farm and Alan Wake, or the Ashtray Maze and Control, or obviously
We Sing,
Yeah, the we sing in this game.
Dark Ocean
So
Summoning.
yeah, and what do you think about those?
Like We Sing, I think has to be like one of the best moments I've experienced in any like game ever. It's just so creative and so
It's
out there and
yeah,
so
it's cool.
wild. And then to have it follow it up with Dark Ocean Summoning as well, making it a lot more smaller but hectic. As like a boss rush or like an enemy rush in a way is like just
Oh
super
yeah, yeah.
fun.
The Dark Ocean summoning was really cool, and that whole like the fight and everything, Scratch was really cool as well.
Yeah,
I thought
I
the way they
think
did Scratch was cool as hell. Like he was just like a cool bad guy. Like he was just badass. Like when he
yeah
first appears and he just fucking destroys that one dude.
yeah no the boss fights were both boss fights with Scratch. I think there were two, right? But both of those with him were like very. I really
Yeah,
like the
there's two
mechanics
of them.
behind them, like with the lights and the stuff.
Hmm.
And how you can't damage him unless you have to do like these really specific things. Not the most complex, but it just works really well.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, they weren't like crazy complex, but they were just interesting enough in the way you had to stun him and get it all lined up and stuff like that. And he's such an imposing like force. And they really kind of took all like what you learned from the prior fights and kind of brought it into his fight.
Yeah.
Because it actually surprised me that they even really had boss fights. Honestly, what did you think about like fighting Nightingale and the deputies and all that stuff?
Right. The Nightingale fight was pretty interesting. It was okay, really. It was more like as a visual on the visual sides. It was one of the better ones, like how it just like I don't know, like it just shifted in and out, and then like you had like the jump scare face in your face. It was I don't know. I mean, the boss fights were overall they weren't the best boss fights, but they worked so well because of just how they were presented, like with the visuals, the blend of live action, and just being sufficient enough. I think that stretches to the combat as well overall in the game.
Yeah, I don't think they were anything spectacular either. But they were fun and um they were different and they were definitely a change of pace that I wasn't expecting for an Alan Wake game.
Yeah, it's yeah. Overall, I think the combat encounters, or like the bigger combat encounters, they were just maybe sufficient
Yeah,
enough to get you moving forward to the next area.
yeah, 100%. And it gave you a nice little payoff for what you were doing too.
Yeah, especially in terms of story.
Oh yeah, no doubt. What did you think about the kind of Metroidvania design of the game and most of its levels and backtracking and how they did collectibles and puzzles and such?
Like, like as since I have the platinum, it was one of the most enjoyable ones because of how the you got like the screwdriver, the bolt cutters,
Yeah,
and it just I didn't like you said earlier. The world is just a lot bigger than it actually presents itself. It's a lot
yeah.
more deeper. It's a lot more fleshed out compared to other survival horror titles, I think.
I always forgot that I could use the screwdriver to break locks, like break certain locks.
And then you get more items out of that.
Yeah,
It's not just for collectibles, but also just to make you better equipped for the next combat encounter.
yeah, 100%. Also, I thought it was cool that they did like the Ati's little janitor puddle for like the different checkpoints to the where you can swap back and forth.
Yeah, and and like the cutscene that plays when you like switch between
Yeah,
the two realities. It's just really good looking.
yeah, that one was pretty cool. I really liked that. I also think it's interesting that they used Ati, right? Like and his like water puddles, his janitor bucket, and his music, the tango, the Finnish tango,
Yeah,
as like the thing for that. There has to be an implication as to why they used that specifically.
and it
Of
could also
him
be like
being who he
with
is.
like the puddle could be like an illusion, like because or not. No, I don't know what I was gonna say. Like I was gonna say the puddle like could allude to something being deeper, but
Yeah.
puddles aren't usually deep. They're just like very surface level. But this could be like
Yeah.
it's not a lake. It's an ocean.
Yeah. It's not a puddle, it's a
It's an it's another reality.
yeah. It's it's not a puddle. It's a portal to separate dimensions, to all kinds of things. Um, I mean, like it's kind of like the spiral. Water is a chaotic force,
It's
ever
uncontrollable.
ever changing, uncontrollable. You never know what direction it's going to go in. So it'll loop you back around, that kind of stuff. So it narratively makes sense.
Yeah, and it's also interesting to think about how they might like further the idea and the themes behind water in general.
Yeah,
Because
yeah. I mean, it's
both
kind of
games are
always
very,
been pretty important to it, right? Because Cauldron Lake, um, and obviously Ati, the puddles, different elements like that. Water's been pretty important to the whole thing.
also the like in both games as well, like the water, the like the symbolism behind like deers. That's a very interesting topic to see
Yeah,
how they'll further that.
yeah. I'm curious about that actually. Like maybe it has to do with Freya, maybe, but like how you can come across every mounted deer head and pet it. Like too.
Yeah, I mean,
I
because I had to do some reading after like when I like finished it, and like apparently like deers are like a symbol for like spiritual authority and just regeneration, and I'm not really sure where like the spiritual realm like fits into Alan Wake 2, but it is there if the deers are so predominant. Oh yeah, yeah. So when I finished, I did some reading and it said that deers are like a symbol for like spiritual authority and regeneration, and I'm
okay.
not really sure how the
Yeah,
like
that
where
makes
the
sense.
spiritual realm like fits into Alan Wake 2 because it's not there,
Yeah.
but it is there.
Yeah. Uh yeah, it's kind of there and it's kind of not, right? I mean, but that could also it could fall into all these different entities that do different things and so on. So
Or maybe the deer is that spiritual realm deers represent. Maybe it's just the like Mr. Door's place, the passage between
maybe, yeah,
the two realms,
possible. Middle ground kind of thing.
which could link again to like the Norse mythology, how they have the different realms and you have to pass from them.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Because they have, Helheim and all that, like all the different, like, because they refer to them realms, like the human world and all that. Yeah, I mean, there's definitely connections to be made there. I think a lot of that goes back to a lot of it's connected to mythologies and stuff too,
Yeah,
which is pretty cool. Yeah, I'm like I said, I'm very interested to see what they do with expansions. Again, if I want to see more about Mr. Door, Embreaker, stuff like that. Maybe some of the side story type stuff kind of like expanded on a little bit more. I kind of want to see what like um where Odin and Tor are right now because Saga made it out of the dark place, I think,
yeah.
by
They just
herself,
walked into it.
and they walked into it to go save her, but now they're in the dark place, I guess, because I mean we never saw them leave.
Maybe they're still stuck there.
Maybe.
I mean, I'd like to know more about like how the Koskela brothers. It'd be very interesting to see more from them.
Yeah, yeah. The one did die,
Yeah,
but I don't know if it's one of those things like kind of like Odin and Tor. Like, are they actually just people or are they something else?
because one of them seems to, or at least in the dark place, like that last commercial, like they seem more self-aware than, or he seemed a lot more self-aware than any other time, and like he knew he was in a dark place in a way, and I don't know, was conforming to the
Yeah.
rules or something.
Yeah, because everybody else, when Alan goes into Bright Falls, when it's under the Dark Places spell, everyone else is like all, happy go lucky, just like over this book and all that. And you watch his little ad in the diner, and you see the shadow of his brother standing next to him,
Yeah,
but he's not there because he died. But like he's
and he even
self
looks at the
aware,
shadow.
yeah, and he looks at the shadow, and then he kind of goes, yeah, and then like he's very self aware that his brother's dead. He's very self aware that like he's in the dark place and he's like in all this, and it was interesting that he would be able, like, how would everyone else be under a spell and he would be so self aware?
Maybe he's got the same learn from Mr. Door.
Maybe. Maybe he is a lot more than he seems. Almost every character is a lot more than they seem. So
Yeah, no, I wouldn't be surprised either if they're like somehow related to the Anderson thing. It's just everything's so connected.
Yeah, it's like there for a little bit. Saga thought that like maybe they had a relationship at some point or something because like just I guess the way they were interacting and stuff because like they know her so well and she barely knows them.
Yeah.
So it's pretty confusing. And the crazy part is like the cult of the wood was literally created to kill uh people coming from the dark place that were spewing out into Cauldron Lake. They weren't really
Yeah,
the bad guys.
but it also leads to the question like how. I mean, I think it was answered that how they found out about the dark place, but again, how much do they actually know, or how much do they let us think that they know?
True. Yeah. I mean, they found out that the lake itself was a connection to Dark Place. They were hunting people who were thrown out of it, so they didn't affect like Cauldron Lake and Bright Falls. And like the Cauldron Lake had been like sealed off ever since the event of Alan Wake, and they'd basically been like these silent protectors in the dark, and they tried to scare people so they wouldn't go out at night in the woods and stuff like that.
Right. Yeah. But
They
also,
became like this militia trying to protect everybody.
but also
Which I
back
mean,
to like because
they were right about Scratch though.
they were, yeah.
The whole time, I kind of had a feeling at one point that it was going to be like Scratch isn't another entity; he's literally just Alan.
Yeah, no, that was a good plot twist.
Yeah,
How
I
it was
had a
framed.
feeling that something like that was going to happen because I was like, it's a little too significant that they chose to when Alan came out into the real world that they chose to have him in his like plaid shirt from American Nightmare.
Right. Yeah.
Which is the one that prominently had Scratch in it, and it's all within a fictional version of Night Springs. Um, and it's like, oh, they'll meet him when you're gone. That thing, that line, and uh, your friends will meet him when you're gone, kind of thing. And it's weird because basically, like, Alan was still stuck in the dark place during that whole point in time. Like, the Alan that was in the real world was not really Alan.
Yeah.
That was like it was basically Scratch pretending to be Alan.
And then I don't know. It's just so many like questions about like conscience, like how many like alter egos are there actually, or the whole passage of time and everything. It just doesn't.
Yeah.
It, I can't really grasp it right now, but like there's probably an answer out there like that they hopefully might give us someday.
Yeah. Well, I mean, because you got Scratch, you got Alan, you got um, Tom.
Yeah.
So I mean, a lot there.
And I mean,
I thought it
like,
was interesting that they chose to get like they had Sam Lake in there as Sam Lake
Sam Lake. Yeah, that
in
was.
live action, and then until you get to the theater, like near the end of the theater, it's like Sam Lake as a character.
Yeah, it
And
doesn't.
that's like that's
It's
crazy.
there's got to be some more significance behind it because at first you'd like the first scene with Sam Lake, you're like, oh, maybe it's just like simple fan service. But then when he comes back again, I mean, there has to be some deeper connotation to
Yeah,
it. I think.
he's there in the mask in the chair.
Are they gonna try and make like some huge alternate reality game maybe in the real world?
Maybe I wouldn't put it past them. I'm curious to see if they throw any Easter eggs into the Max Payne remake.
Oh, I think definitely for sure.
Because like legally they can't make another Max Payne like as far as like a sequel that's made by Remedy or whatever because it's owned by
Yeah,
Rockstar.
unless Rockstar funds them to make it.
Yeah, and just like they can't legally say that like Tim Breaker and Mr. Door are the characters from Quantum Break because Xbox owns that.
Yeah, it's
But just so much there. But I mean, even Sam Lake came out like publicly and said that like that Alex Casey is literally an alternate dimension version of Max Payne. Like he said that. He claimed that. Like
Yeah.
he used both those names in the same sentence.
I mean, maybe this whole Remedyverse is just a big fight against the corporate trademarks and everything.
Maybe I don't know. At least they own control on Alan Wake, right? And
Yeah.
all they got to do, they just should just go make Max Payne 3, but it's just called Alex Casey 3.
Yeah.
And it's just what they would have done. Because the Alex Casey, the third book, which was like their original intention for Max Payne 3, which I remember seeing a thing with Sam Lake, like where he was talking, he really they didn't really care about making, like they wanted to make a Max Payne 3, but it wasn't that big of a deal that they got rid of it and they sold the rights.
Yeah.
Because they wanted to go on to new things.
I mean,
But I don't think
it's.
I don't think Max Payne 3 by Rockstar was quite what they intended.
How do you think a Max Payne 3 would have, by Remedy, would have turned out?
It would have been amazing. No doubt about it.
That's for
What
sure.
direction it would have went in, I don't really know. But I don't think it would have been this, like, it obviously wouldn't have been this
Gameplay,
overly
action heavy game.
gruesome, brutal meta take on violence in video games that's not quite as deep as something like Spec Ops: The Line, but trying to be. And I mean, Max Payne 3 is I still think it's a fun game. Like I think it's definitely a good game. It just deviates from the character a little bit.
Right. I've got it on the backlog. I got to get to it one day.
Actually, reminds me, Spec Ops: The Line. Did you see where they removed it from all digital stores?
Yeah, I saw that. That was quite surprising. Maybe it's a sign for a remake or something.
No, they've already confirmed it was due to they ran out of time for like their partnership license.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so 2K no longer owns the rights to they no longer have a license to use the Spec Ops game name, basically.
Oh man.
Which is probably because they didn't make a game or remaster a game or remake a game or do anything like
Man, that sucks.
that.
I'm
That's
glad.
what like happened with Bethesda and Prey. The only reason they made Arcane use the name Prey is because they were going to lose the license and they didn't want to lose it.
Wow. Right.
So they said, "Hey, you're making a game. Just put this name on here, please." Like, because they already had the game. It wasn't called Prey initially.
Well, I'm lucky. I picked up Spec Ops on sale one day, but I haven't tried it yet.
Yeah, it's a great game. I bought it a few years ago digitally on Xbox and played it and beat it. Bought it physically for my dad, and it literally went like as the day they took it took it off a Steam store, it went from being like $20 online to like $200.
Oh man, that's
Yeah,
quite the price hike.
yeah. It's pretty damn crazy. We'll see what happens. Maybe they renew the license and they like remaster it or something. I don't know, but
Yeah, no, that would be because
it's kind of
I've
like a
heard so
bad
many good
thing
stuff
when
about the
stuff like that
story.
happens for game preservation. It's just not good
Yeah, exactly.
because now nobody can get it unless they get a physical copy, and all the physical copies have been hiked up all of a sudden. Whole issue. But
More's got to be done for preservation.
yeah, I think so. Like we just gotta find some kind of happy medium to make sure that games can still be played in the future while making new stuff.
Yeah.
Versus having so many games out there that just like are abandoned or someone owns the rights but they just never port them or make them available on new consoles and PC and so on. And there's so many things out there that are like just dormant, sitting there for no reason. I mean, it's just like the really awesome Chronicles of Riddick games.
I haven't heard of that.
Really? You haven't heard of Chronicles of Riddick?
No.
Oh shit, man. Gotta go watch the movies. All right, so
Chronicles of Riddick.
The first one is Pitch Black, then it's the Chronicles of Riddick, then it's Riddick, Then there's Chronicles of Riddick: Dark Fury, which is an animated movie. I don't know if you can watch them anywhere, but that's a whole nother issue with like preservation of films. There's so
Yeah.
many that can't be watched anywhere without a physical copy. But the Butcher Bay and Dark Athena games of that film series are fucking amazing. But you can only buy it on the like 360 store, which is closing soon, so you won't be able to do that. Which is where I bought it because I couldn't find a physical copy at a good price
Right.
until I eventually did. So now I own a physical copy, so it's no longer an issue for me. But it's like kind of expensive if you buy it online. You go to like a shop somewhere, like it's cheaper. Buy it on there, but like it isn't on PC. Like you can't get it on Steam, you can't get it on anything. It used to be on Steam at one point, I think, and they took it down.
So like it's
And
really like trapped on the older hardware,
yeah,
unless you
so
have
there's no
the
way to
older
play it. I
hardware.
mean, you can pirate it, right? Not like you can pirate it, but that's the only way on PC that you can play it. Which is crazy because like it has a pretty big following and a lot of people love it, and I don't get why you don't just remaster it. I mean, it's already been like Dark Athena came out 2009 or something, and the first game was already remastered in Dark Athena, so it's 2 games in one.
Right.
All they have to do is just port it. All they gotta do, and then you can play it because it runs fine. Like it doesn't even need to be touched up again. It's perfect. Um, and it's just like I said, it's just weird. And like Vin Diesel is the one who stars in those movies as well as the games, and he owns the rights to the whole series.
Well, he
He's supposed to be
does.
working on a final movie in right now. But he owns the
Riddick.
rights along with it and his the film series and stuff. He has a game studio as well.
Man, I didn't know that about Vin Diesel. I haven't followed much about him. I didn't know that.
Yeah, yeah. But he owns the rights, so I mean, I guess it kind of falls upon him to do that. And then
Wow.
it's kind of like that other. It's like other studios that own games that just aren't playable on modern tech that they could just easily put them on there when they just don't. I don't get it.
For one, like a recent example, maybe Prince of Persia. I don't think, besides for the new release, I don't think there's any like concrete way to play the older titles. I think.
The very old ones, like the 2D games on like arcade and stuff, you can't play. I don't think you can play any of those anywhere. There might be a Xbox 360 arcade release of those games, but once the store's gone, it's gone because it was digital only.
Yeah.
You can get there was the exclusively to PS3. There was the Prince of Persia collection that was all the 3D hack and slash games from the PS2 bundled together. But if you don't have PS3,
That's
then you can't play that either. So
yeah. And the PS3, like I think apparently is like one of the hardest like to like port stuff out of it because I don't know, the hardware was like completely wonky or something.
yeah, it was. I mean, it was hard for people to make games on the PS3. Like it was fine for internal studios, but it was hard for like any external like studios to even make games for the PS3 and make them function properly on the PS3.
Yeah.
Just because the dev kits and stuff were just weird, and the way a lot of their technology was just weird. Most at that time, most people preferred putting stuff like they preferred building games for the 360 because the
Yeah.
dev kits were easier. And even you go and look at like a lot of even PS3 game documentaries, you'll see people with Xbox 360 controllers because they were like building it there first, and then it was being basically
Yeah. The second
secondarily
fault.
built onto PS3.
And crazy how that whole system there is just
Yeah,
out
it's
of touch from everything.
yeah, and it's actually kind of funny. The like Bethesda games always worked better on Xbox than they did on PlayStation for whatever reason. I guess probably due to some of those limitations.
Maybe
Um,
that's the reason why Microsoft bought them up.
yeah, I mean it makes sense. I mean They've been teaming up with Xbox for years. I mean, Morrowind was a console exclusive on Xbox. It
Oh wow.
was just on PC and Xbox. Wasn't until Oblivion. Well, actually, was Oblivion on PS? I can't remember.
Oblivion.
Look that up. I know Fallout 3 was and all the other games, but I don't know if Oblivion was on PS3 or not. I think it might have been.
Elder Scrolls Oblivion. Yeah, it was on the PS3.
It was on the PS3.
Yeah.
But yeah, Morrowind was exclusive. And actually, I remember with Skyrim when the DLC first came out for that. It actually came out early on Xbox.
Oh
It's
wow.
funny. Yeah, it came out like a little early on there or something. But yeah, no, yeah, game preservation is important. I think a lot of stuff still needs to be done, especially on PlayStation's side. Like,
Yeah, no, it's
I think,
pretty disappointing.
yeah, I think Nintendo does pretty good. They just charge too much for their
Yeah,
games.
I think now the service is actually a lot better now, like the online service with the retro consoles with the N60
Oh yeah,
Game
yeah,
Boys. It's a lot better now than it was at the start.
yeah. They're definitely improving it a lot, which is good. But is there
Oh,
anything else you want to touch upon about Alan Wake 2?
well, let me resort back to my notes here and see if there is a uh I mean, like one like final thing, like the
Yeah,
character of Saga.
yeah, yeah,
I've like personally like throughout the whole game, she was like just all right, I'd say.
yeah.
Then when we finally got to that last part, like her part in the dark place, when her personality opened a lot more,
Oh yeah, yeah.
that was when like it really hit how good of a range she has.
Oh yeah, and then you finally get to see her in live action too.
Yeah, really good actor, really good actress. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh yeah. Played really well off of Alan as well.
exactly. And
What's
also,
that
I
man? That
mean,
but
talking about this Alan again, like how
yeah,
they're two actors doing
yeah.
the
That's what I was
same
about to
guy.
say.
It's
Yeah, yeah. It's literally one actor is the like mocap slash live action, and then another actor is the voice of both the live action and the animated version.
yeah,
And yet they
it's
made it
crazy.
sound like it's literally that dude's voice.
I mean, it's like their performance at the TGAs last year when they
Yes.
did the Herald of Darkness. That was really good that I managed to do that. Like not like
Yes. And like the dude was sitting there with his mouthpiece on, talking and like singing off to the side, and it still sounded like it was coming out of the actor's mouth.
exactly. It was.
They got it down. They nailed it so well.
I really wish they both got like nominated or more
Oh yeah.
for
Yeah,
more
definitely.
awards.
I mean, I'm not against Baldur's Gate winning game of the year by any means, but because it is a good game, I haven't played it yet,
Very
but
good game.
it's a very good game. I mean, it's a lot of things that's very great about it, but man, it's such a toss up. I still kind of feel like Alan Wake 2 should have won that.
Yeah, I mean, also Zelda, I think had a really good shot at it.
Yeah, yeah. And so it was just there was that last year was like a very good year for games though. Just so many good games that came out all last year.
Yeah,
It's
and
just a stacked year.
this year's shaping up to be a strong year as well. We've had a
Yeah, it's
very good
looking
start this year.
looking to be pretty good. Already had like Prince of Persia
Like a
and
Dragon,
yeah, like a
Persona.
Dragon. Um, that one, the Banishers game looks pretty good.
Oh yeah, that's
Have
coming
you
out
watched?
this month, right?
Yeah, I think it's near the end of the month or something. Little Nightmares 3 comes out this year sometime soon.
Yeah,
Um,
Elden Ring
there's
DLC maybe,
yeah, Elden Ring DLC probably. I would assume. Um,
and then probably one of the well, two big things. We got the FF7 remake as well,
yeah,
and then the unannounced Switch successor.
yeah, yeah. Which is according to leaks supposed to come out like September.
Yeah,
Um,
I'm very excited for
yeah,
that.
whatever hat like I wonder if Death Stranding 2 will come out this year.
Oh no, I think that's for next year. I think, or
Oh, is it next year?
from the showcase that they said, yeah,
Oh,
2025.
okay. Okay. And I mean, who knows what else will come. But Hellblade 2 is supposed to come out this year as well.
Oh yeah, yeah, in April, I think.
Yeah, and Avowed is coming out this year.
Indiana Jones as well.
Indiana Jones is coming out this year.
What were your thoughts on the Xbox showcase?
I thought it was pretty damn good. Like everything they showed gameplay, they showed cinematic trailers, they talked about it.
Yeah.
Everything looked good in my opinion. I think it looked like it was pretty good. I mean, it's going to be a pretty big year for Xbox for sure.
And PlayStation still has like just like one or two games. So
Yeah, it's weird. It's gonna be it seems like it's gonna be a slow year for PlayStation unless they just like pull
yeah.
a rabbit out of a hat kind of thing.
I mean, even last year was pretty slow, bar Spider-Man 2.
Yeah, true. They're slowing down. How many open world narrative like games can you make? You know,
Yeah, they can't keep making Horizons every year.
I mean, that's kind of what they've been doing for so long. Is just it's either not that their games aren't good, but I mean, even with God of War and all these other games, all of PlayStation's games have a similar structure. One, it's either a pretty by the books open world game, or it's a linear story driven narrative game.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much all they've made for like the last 10 years. Um, anything
From like
outside
their
of
internal
that,
studios. Yeah.
yeah, anything outside of that, it just doesn't do well. Like there was Concrete Genie by Pixel Opus. Pixel Opus got shut down last year, and they made a cool like 3D platformer kind of like interesting little game, and it was awesome, but it didn't do well. So that was gone, right? You know, Dream didn't do well. You
Yeah.
know, they brought Little Big Planet back in 3D platformer. No one really even talked about that for longer than a month. um, so you know they sticking with a formula that works, but I mean you can only do that for so long. And I think the biggest
Exactly.
thing for me, like with Xbox, even though they've been like also kind of slower at their releases, I think what they release is more unique as of late, as far as like stuff like Pentiment and Grounded and like Hellblade and you know, Avowed, or you know, these different
Yeah.
things are just more unique. Hi-Fi Rush, you know,
I definitely not, because like Xbox has like so many studios and so many
yeah,
internal studios that they.
yeah,
I mean, in a way, it's not really internal because they've so many like acquisitions in a way.
yeah, yeah. You know, and then you
But
got like
then also now,
Starfield, and
yeah,
there's like in whatever that game that Compulsion announced. They're the people who made We Happy Few. They're working on another game, and you know, like Fables in production, like Outer Worlds 2, and uh Obsidian's got another project that I called, and they
I mean,
got all this stuff that's coming on Game Pass, and then
yeah, and they got the whole
a lot.
Activision backlog now as
Yep,
well.
the whole Activision backlog. They're working on a new Perfect Dark game.
Yeah,
Um, Rare's working on Everwild. Going to be their next thing after Sea of Thieves. Plus, Sea of Thieves is still going strong.
yeah, no, definitely.
You know, the State of Decay developer, Undead Labs, they're working on State of Decay 3. It's released the new Forza. I mean, there's just a
I mean,
lot. It's just different. It's like very out there, and Game Pass has been like bringing a lot of indie games to it, well, which is getting a lot more eyes
true.
on smaller games.
And also, in a way, like a PlayStation, because internally they're not doing, they're a bit slower internally, but that's probably why they're doing like Final Fantasy VII Remake and
Yeah,
the Rise of the Ronin and other very interesting
right.
titles that they're not
Yeah,
making
yeah,
themselves, but they're just funding.
yeah. I mean, when they get those games out, they're gonna do well. Like they got some cool things coming. They just haven't announced a lot right now.
Yeah.
Waiting to see what else they announce. I want to see more. I don't even have a PS5, but I want to see more on Logan, on the Wolverine game.
Oh yeah. I mean, wait.
Um,
Last time we spoke together, the hack didn't happen yet, right?
no, no, it didn't. Yeah, oh, you
And
talking about the Insomniac
yeah,
hack thing? Yeah, I didn't really look into that much because I didn't really. I think that's pretty shitty of people to do, but
Yeah, it is. It's. I mean, one thing is to just like take like copyrighted like information and stuff like that. The other is to just that they taking all the personal information of people and just putting it out there. That's
oh yeah,
that's where
yeah.
that's crossing the
And then
line.
you got like IGN and shit that like just share it. Like, what
Yeah,
the hell's wrong with you guys? Like, you just took this information and then shared it. Like, it's whatever. But yeah. Well, I think it's been a pretty good conversation. I think we're gonna wrap it up, man.
we did a lot of Alan Waking and a lot of talking about the
I,
industry and preservation.
yeah, we touched on some other stuff I wasn't expecting, but yeah, a lot of Alan Wake too. So much more. I'm sure once we finish final draft at some point, we'll probably come back and be like, oh my god, this happened. You know?
Yeah, and the
But
DLC as well.
oh yeah, I'm sure there'll be some DLC announcements in the near future. I don't think it's gonna be too far off.
I think they wanted to release at least one in the first half of the year, and then maybe the second in the something
I could see
wrong.
that. Yeah, that'll be interesting. I could see it. All right, well, man, it was awesome having you on. Definitely we'll speak again sometime, and
Yeah, thanks so much for having me on the podcast again. Really,
yeah,
really
you
appreciate it.
got any new stuff coming out?
I've got I mean, changed the structure of the channel a bit now. So
Yeah,
I've got one new video for next week, and then I think I'm gonna like when schedule clears up a lot more. I'm gonna do, but try to make longer videos. I don't know.
yeah. Kind of what I'm doing. I had a few small videos in the works, and then I kind of delayed them. I'm making a list of like just larger videos that I'm going to focus on. So
Yeah,
I'm
yeah. I've
basically
seen your
only going
tweets.
to be focusing on uh like podcast stuff and just larger videos. Right now, I'm in the middle of production on my Assassin's Creed Origins video. I got something lined up for We Happy Few, then a lot of stuff future after that.
Lots of good stuff coming.
Yeah, and by the time this podcast is out, I will have launched a new podcast called Quad Damage with High Functioning Medium and S35 Gaming that focuses around first person shooters.
I saw the trailer for that, or the
Yeah,
intro card thing that you had prepared. That looks pretty
yeah.
good.
Wait till you see the actual intro to the channel too. It's gonna be pretty good.
Oh, it's a brand new channel.
Or no, it's I meant podcast, but yeah, no.
All
We
right,
haven't.
okay,
We
okay.
decided that we're gonna release it on our own YouTubes versus you doing a whole new channel.
All right, that's
So
very
it'll be
exciting.
on. You'll see it on my channel when it drops. Which at this point, this podcast will probably drop on Friday, and then that episode will be up on Monday. So by the time you see this, it'll already be up.
Got a big weekend coming for you.
Oh yeah. All right, man. It was good talking with you. I'll talk to you later.
Right. Yeah.
See ya.
Thanks. Many thanks again. See ya.